Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create a fun card using the Spellbinders Large Die of the Month Club Kit for September 2021. It's called Just a Tweet. But this set is so amazing because it has a lot of elements that can be mixed and matched for so many occasions. I mean, there are circles that can be turned into ornaments and balloons. There are florals and leaves. Of course, you get your cute little bird image along with your sentiments with the shadow die that goes with the sentiments. Lots and lots in here for so many occasions. So I thought we would make a fun just because card. We are going to use some Spellbinders Color Essential cardstocks to create our birds. So let's jump in. We're going to create two birds today. So for our first bird, we're going to use some pink colors, and then our second bird, we're going to use some orange colors. It's nice because the color essentials kind of have a color family. The pinks are pink sand, dahlia, and wildberry, and then the oranges are from lightest to dark. It's persimmon, no, barely peach, persimmon, and terracotta. I'm slowly remembering my colors. We're going to kind of mix and match them. Now, two birds we're going to create, a boy bird and a girl bird. So I'm just kind of lining up the colors that I want to use for their wings because the wings do have layering elements. Their facial features do too, but you don't need a color cardstock for that. And I think we're going to go with the lighter, barely peach for the wing part of the bird. The base part of each of the birds, we're going to use persimmon and our pink sand. So we're going to kind of just flip-flop. I'm bringing in some white cardstock. There is a facial detail piece that you're going to need to die cut out twice. And then we're going to bring in some brown cardstock. I want these birds to be sitting on a branch. So we're going to take this piece, which could be a perfect branch for flowers too, guys. So it could be a tree branch or a flower branch, and then you get the little curved elements that are great for balloons or ornaments, or even to create a wreath. I just love that it was so well thought out. I am going to die cut out some leaves using all three colors of the greens. I have fern is the darkest, peridot, you guys told me peridot. Thank you very much for letting me know the color peridot. And then you have rainforest, so all three colors of greens. I'm going to go ahead and die cut it out, which I already did. And now we're going to create our first little bird. Easy to put together. I did trim out a piece of the pale orange color, the barely peach, to put behind my bird so the feathers behind have color. You can see here, it's easy, just trim down a small piece and make sure there's a curve to it so you can go around the belly. To accent the wings of your bird, it's easy, just follow the curve along the top portion of the wings and you can add that detail piece. And you have a tail wing, and then you also have a arm wing. So we're going to go ahead and add our first tail wing to, you could put it under the bird if you wanted, or on top of the bird. It's just your preference. And you could actually shape these to be long and tall. There are legs in the die set too that go with the bird. So if you want your bird standing on something, you can add the legs too. I'm going to have these guys sitting on a branch, so I'm not going to adhere any legs to these guys. So I'm making sure that the tail wing is almost like he's sitting. Kind of like a dove almost. That'd be pretty for a wedding card too, guys. Did I cut this out with some beige and white cardstock for a wedding card? That'd be pretty. And maybe put two little circle rings between them so they're holding it. So it's just such a versatile die set. Okay, now if you want to die cut out the facial features with different color cardstock, you can. I find it easier to die cut out with white cardstock and then just color them in with my Copic markers. The eyepiece that I'm trying to pick up is very, very tiny, guys, and if you don't want to fuss with tiny, use a gem, a black gem, or you could use an enamel dot, or you could use some Nuvo drops. That would be perfect to dot the eye. You don't have to kind of fuss with the little eyepiece. There is, we're going to add the top piece to our bird, and these little pieces, sometimes you don't want to fuss with them because they're so small, but guys, when you do add them, they add so much detail to your birds or your images. You'll see here when we put it together. There is a beak also that you can layer on the beak that's on the bird. We're going to add our top feather of the bird. And I'm using my my cool gray marker. This is a C6 marker for that. And I did color in the eye for with the C6 also. So there's the top piece. There's the little eye, white eye piece. I left it white. And then you can add your eye, and then you can add your beak. Your beak will line up with that white piece that you die cut out, kind of like a puzzle. It fits together. Once you add your, I would suggest maybe adding your beak first and then adding the eyepiece. It lines up real nicely. But you see the little details like this, how much character it adds to your images. That's why I love Spellbinders die so much. They're just amazing and very well thought out. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to flip our bird so it's facing the opposite way. Now, when you do this, you're going to add glue to the right side up of your die cut. Now, if you'll notice there's different cut edges when you flip your dies over. So it's not going to be as pretty. It's going to be pretty, but it's not going to be as pretty as your forward cut image. I want to say that. And sometimes if you run this through your die cut machine facing up, it'll take away those harsh edges. I'm not worried about it, guys. You know what? Sometimes I find I over criticize my work, and the total outcome of a project, I don't think people are going to really notice that your die cut's upside down. I honestly don't. I think they're going to notice a lovely handmade card that you're sending them. So I try not to overanalyze your projects. I think once you get the entire project done, people will definitely not notice that it's upside down die cutting. So just a little note. Sometimes I get really hard on myself. But I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with my bird one, along with the facial features. And again, these you want to flip to right side up. You want to flip them upside down, to color them in. This way they're facing the opposite end. Very easy to do. And I'm just coloring in it with my cool gray marker, and then I'll use I didn't tell you the red I used for the beak. It was R24. But both birdies are done, and now they're facing each other. You can, in the close-ups, maybe you can pause it and you guys can actually look at the difference between the two. I can completely tell, but when the whole card's together and it's sitting on my desk, I think it looks pretty cute. I did die cut up my branches with timber cardstock, and these are really thin, but it's nice because you could use them for balloon strings, you could use them for flower stems, lots of options. Now I am going to take a heart die that I've had in my stash. I'm going to go ahead and die cut out a heart on a panel that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So it's going to leave me a little bit of a border on my card base. I'm not going to use the sentiment in the stamp set. I wanted to use one that I had in my stash. This is a sentiment stamp set from Fun Stamper's Journey. I've had this for a while, and I like the mix and match sentiments in here. It's called Sentiment Stacks. If Spellbinders does have it, I'll link it down below. And Spellbinders is actually having a sale coming up on the 10th, too, guys. If you guys want to check it out, I'll leave the Spellbinders link down below. You know, they always have great sales. But if I can find that stamp set, I'll link it down below. I stamped Love Is All You Need. And now I'm taking my branches. I have the main branch here. I want to have this coming from the left side. And I do want a couple of those little branches overhanging in the heart area. They're really thin, and you're thinking, how are you going to stabilize that? I don't think it's not going to be that big of a difference because we're going to cover the open areas with birds, so you won't even be able to tell. These two little swirls, not really swirls, curves, I'm going to add as branches. I'm going to add one that's overhanging in my heart area, and then I'll add another one just above it, almost like a continuous branch going across my heart area. And then there's some straight edges. There is just lots of there's even an S-shaped one in your die set this month. But after I have my branches adhered, I went ahead and flipped over my panel, add foam adhesive behind it, and then we're going to bring in another piece of cardstock. I wanted some color behind my heart, so I thought we would do a little bit of ink blending with some Distress Oxide inks. It's so nice that Spellbinders has the Distress Oxide inks, and all 3 colors that I'm using today, they do have. This is Mustard Seed. I'm going to kind of create a rainbow background, And I'm not using Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm just using my regular heavyweight cardstock, so it doesn't blend as nice as I like it to. But we're going to create a rainbow, and the birds are going to cover the background for the most part, so I'm just going to roll with it. Next we're going to add, I'm in hyperdrive now, I'm adding more lipstick, kind of blending the two together to create that orange. And then my last color is peacock feathers. We're going to add it to the top and blend that into our mustard seeds, so we have a nice pretty green color. Now once our little rainbow background is done, I'll clean up my work surface, and then we're going to add some water to the front and oxidize some of that ink. I'll just use a towel and tap off the excess. And then we'll take this panel, I'm going to add adhesive behind it, and then we're going to tack this down to our card base. We're going to create a landscape style card today, and my size of card is an A2 size card. It is a standard note size card. It is 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2. I'm going to line up my background. I want to make sure that I get like all of the colors in it, and I think right there is going to look good. I have a little overhanging on top. I'm going to use my scissors and trim that off, and then I'm going to hold these two together and center this on my card base, and then I can press down. Since I already have adhesive behind there, I know that behind my heart is exactly the colors that I want. I always like to do that. Now I'm going to remove my release paper, and then we're going to add this in the center of our card base. I love the browns with the rainbow kind of colors. I just love the way this turned out. Okay, we're going to take our leaves, and we're going to, well, let's add our birds first. I want since they're facing each other, I want them centered in my heart. So using the point of the heart kind of as a guide, I'm going to double up on my foam adhesive so they're one layer higher than my background. I'm not pressing down firmly just yet. I think I need to reposition a few times, and then we'll commit to pressing them down real good so they stick down. And I think that looks good. We're going to scoot this guy over a little bit more, and you can see some of my branches are just hanging in there. No worries, because we're going to cover those with leaves. That's the best part. Leaves can cover things. Now we're going to add some dots of glue around our branches. On our background panel, I'm just going to directly adhere my leaves. But the leaves that are going to go on the inside of my heart, I'm going to add one small foam square behind the leaves there. This way it's all nice and even. And I'm also going to use those leaves that I added foam squares to on the inside of my heart. I'm going to go ahead and cover up those open areas from the branches. And I'm happy with this. I didn't go crazy. I had leftover leaves, but I love the way this turns out. It's not, you could easily turn this into a Valentine's Day card too. That's what I like, is I could probably go crazy with all the occasions, because there's even a flower in this set that looks like a clover. So you could do spring, you could do St. Patrick's Day, you could do Christmas with the ornaments. There's even music notes in here, guys. That's just well thought out, and I like it. I'm going to add some gems. These are the new blue mix gems, and we're going to add a few here and there. I like the odd numbers, so I want to add one more to the top here. And then we're going to put these back, and that's my project for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I thank you so much for joining me, guys. Have a fabulous rest of your week. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.